Hello and welcome. On Monday, January 26th, Neptune goes into Aries, and I felt the need to share something about that with you. I haven't honestly recorded anything in about a year, but something about this energy just calls for it. If you're just finding me, my name's Lisa Merrifield. I'm an astrologer and holistic health practitioner, and my work is really focused around wisdom of the sky for everyday life. So I use modern psychological astrology techniques along with mindfulness, seasonal living, and holistic health practices to help you make grounded and practical decisions in real life. I don't do fear-based predictions. I don't do I don't subscribe to the cosmic overwhelm. There is always another transit. I try to just provide useful insight that you can actually apply to your life. So, back to what's going on. On Monday, January 26th, as I said, Neptune enters Aries for the next 14 years. So the outer planets, Neptune is one of the outer planets, move slowly and they speak to societal trends and more long-term changes within ourselves. They aren't quick or flashy like a Mars transit, but rather they work on changing us from the inside out. So can these kinds of transits show up in the world around us? They definitely can. And we definitely might see some shifts in the coming days. But I think the really important piece is to consider the shifts within ourselves. So, my philosophy about astrology and astrological practice is really more meditative. What does the new energy teach me about the work that I need to do? So, today, that's what I want to talk about. I want to think a little bit about what Neptune is and what Aries is, and what the invitation, the combination might bring for us is. So, Neptune is one of the newer planets in our lexicon. It was discovered about 1846, and that means we have less than 200 years of observations to identify how Neptune shows up in the world. But in that time, we have seen that the sign of Neptune speaks to culture, to art, to fashion, literature, to spirituality. It speaks to our collective consciousness, our empathy, our compassion, and it dissolves and unwinds whatever it touches. So, Neptune transits can be frustrating because everything can feel foggy. And in our world, foggy is not what we're looking for. Neptune doesn't move quickly. It isn't about enacting outer change. It isn't about sharp lines and clear directions. Um, and so those things can be hard to find, but that's the point. Neptune leads us into what I'm going to call the imaginal realm. Its goal is to expand our consciousness by forcing us to sit in the unknown. And it's definitely easier said than done. So here's my example. Examples help, I think. So Neptune has been in Pisces for the last 14 years. And in that time, I went back to playing piano. I did a lot of other things, but we're going to use the piano example. So I played as a kid, but then I didn't play for like 25 years. And when Neptune entered Pisces, I felt called to pick up the piano again. Um, Not literally, to go back to playing piano again. So Pisces is a sign that can be associated with art and spirituality and all things that don't have words. So Pisces is also the time of day right after dawn. So you can't quite make out the horizon. So it's just that kind of liminal twilight space. The light is just starting to appear. So some modern astrologers actually say Neptune rules Pisces. So they have similar kinds of themes. So together they build that expanding consciousness, dissolution, breaking down boundaries. So back to the piano. Pisces rules my fifth house. So it speaks to creativity and individuation and art for me, piano. It makes sense. But what I really learned about playing piano was about the energy of Neptune. It really helped me codify and understand what it means to sit in Neptunian space. So, of course, playing piano, you have to learn the mechanics of the piece. You have to learn how the notes go together, how the mood, the feel, the intonation, all of that. Um, but when you really play, you have to get out of your head. So for me, I have to I have to just let the logical brain go and let my hands do what they need to do and just feel through it. I can't think about every note as I'm playing. I have to let go of the goal-oriented part of me, the part of me that wants things to be linear and rational, and just expand into the space and give my unconscious mind, my subconscious mind, control over my hands to play the music. I don't know if that makes sense. We do it when we read as well, right? So when we're reading a good book, we don't focus on each word one by one. We loosen our minds and we see the images. Um, we we focus on softening the actual process of reading so that we can see and we can feel and touch and hear and taste the characters on the page. We need the words, but we don't spend our time. It's not about the words. I hope that makes sense. Um, so Neptune invites us to do that wherever our chart is. It invites us to let go of the rigid doing and just explore the essence. So, so again, wherever Neptune is in your chart can be difficult in the 3D workaday world. That's not what it's about. All right, so that's Neptune. So Neptune is moving into Aries. So let's talk a little bit about Aries. Um, and before we do that, remember the planets are the actors. So they are always so they always do what they're going to do. Mars will always ask us to enact our will. Venus will always be about finding pleasure, and Neptune will always be about blurring the lines so that we can explore this greater consciousness. And the sign the planet is in is the role that it's playing. So the sign of the planet shapes the scene, the wardrobe, the part it's playing. So it shapes the way the planet acts, but the planet's still going to do the thing the planet was going to do. So maybe another way to think about it is the planet is the noun and the sign is the adjective, if that helps. Back to Aries. So Aries brings qualities of innovation, pioneering, and rugged individualism. It asks us to create, it asks us to innovate, it asks us to initiate. It's not passive energy. It's sharp and it's distinct, and it brings decisiveness. It can also bring recklessness and lack of compassion. Aries energy doesn't want to sit still, and it doesn't always see other people or other perspectives. So together, Neptune expands our consciousness, and in Aries, it addresses themes of creativity, innovation, and the places where we are courageous and maybe a little ruthless and self-centered. So the invitation of Neptune in Aries is to sit in those spaces and see where they take us. And to that end, here are a couple themes that I think might come up as Neptune steps into Aries, at least from my perspective. So, the Aries part of your chart will likely dissolve, unwind, or expand over the next 14 years in some way. And this could look like a lot of different things, but maybe your creativity might be less about doing something, doing a thing, and more about relaxing the reins. Think of my piano example. Yes, you have to do the thing. I have to know where my fingers go, but I have to relax in order to really play. I have to let go to build something. So that could be something that comes up for you. Or if you think about innovative or pioneering things, with Neptune and Aries, those things might come to you more through releasing the desire to innovate or pioneer and just feeling into that liminal space, seeing what's there. So maybe it will be about less pushing and more receiving. I also think that this is going to be a time when we look at the places where we think we need to go it alone. Aries is very much about I will do this. The keywords are I am. And I think as Neptune's in Aries, we might need to rethink those places where we're not Yeah, just we might need to think about how we sit in community in a little bit different way, about ways that maybe going it alone is not the best way. So it might be a time to realize that maybe we're being ruthless or overbearing in the pursuit of a desire, and just sit with that and unwind that pattern. We might find some compassion that then leads us to greater individuation. Again, I hope that makes sense. Um, I do have a little concern about Neptune and Aries, um, around fanaticism or acting on ideas or things that we haven't fully thought through or we can't fully see. So Neptune is definitely our compassion. It's where our heart bleeds. And it's also about blurring the lines. And Aries doesn't want to wait to act. It's not a slow sign. So just know that your heart may be pulled in a direction, and it doesn't mean you don't act, but I would just caution you to pause for a moment before you leap into something. Um, to make sure that you're not taking on a problem that's not yours, or acting in a way that suits your ego or your personal drive, but doesn't necessarily help the situation. So there is something about that Aries part in your chart where you will want to, um, just pause and lean into some of the more stable parts of your chart and make sure that you're thinking things through and you're not acting on that emotional pull to help someone or something, even though that may be totally justified and really an important thing to do. Just look before you leap, I guess. So, so those are just some ideas of how that Neptune and Aries energy might show up for you. Just dissolving the Aries part of your chart. Um, will Neptune and Aries be hard? Yes, it definitely will. Will it be confusing? It definitely will. But will you come out better for the work you do, expanding and unwinding that Aries space for yourself? 100%. If you're curious about where Neptune will be working in your chart, what your Aries house is, if you don't know that, I will list in the description, um, what the house signatures are, so you can look for your rising sign. Um, and if you look at your rising sign, you can see what themes will be coming up. Um, so that you can reference it for yourself. If you don't know what your rising sign is, send me an email, send me your date of birth, time of birth, and location, and I can tell you what your rising sign is. Um, so I hope you enjoy this journey of Neptune and Aries. I hope that we can like live into this liminal space and unwind some of the constraints that make our world a little crazy. We're definitely living in interesting times, and although a lot is hard right now, um, we do have a front row seat to human evolution, and we have a big role in shaping how we want to do it. So, thank you so much for spending time with me. Again, I'm Lisa Merrifield. I offer wisdom of the sky for everyday life, and um, I hope that this helps you meet what's ahead with clarity, calm, and self-trust. If this is helpful, please subscribe, please share all the stuff I'm supposed to say. Until next time, bye.